Silence is a gateway to clarity because it allows us to step away from the noise of our thoughts, the endless distractions of the world, and the chaos that surrounds us. In silence, the mind is no longer cluttered with unnecessary worries or ceaseless chatter. It is as though a fog lifts, revealing the landscape of our inner world with precision and detail. When we are silent, we create space to observe our thoughts rather than be consumed by them. It is in this space that understanding emerges. Questions that seemed overwhelming begin to untangle themselves, and answers appear not as external solutions but as inner realizations. Silence sharpens our perception, enabling us to see the essence of things rather than their surface. Moreover, silence allows emotions to settle. Just as a muddy pond becomes clear when left undisturbed, so too do our turbulent feelings resolve into understanding when given the stillness to do so. This clarity is not forced, it arises naturally when we stop trying to control or suppress our experiences and instead allow them to exist without interference. Silence also aligns us with the present moment, the only place where clarity resides. When we are silent, we are no longer entangled in the regrets of the past or the anxieties of the future. We are here, fully attentive, fully alive. In this state, we perceive the simplicity and beauty of life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. Noise distracts because it pulls our attention in countless directions, scattering our focus and fragmenting our energy. It floods our minds with external influences, forcing us to react instead of respond, to chase instead of reflect. The constant barrage of sounds, words, and thoughts creates a chaotic internal environment where clarity is drowned out and meaningful action becomes difficult. Noise thrives on overstimulation, keeping us perpetually busy but rarely productive, disconnected from our inner self and the deeper truths that guide us. Silence, on the other hand, aligns us by creating a still point amidst the turbulence. It draws our awareness inward, allowing us to center ourselves and reconnect with our core. In silence, the distractions that once pulled us away from our purpose fall away, leaving space for what truly matters to emerge. It harmonizes the dissonance within, bringing coherence to our thoughts and feelings. This alignment allows us to act with intention, to move through life not as fragmented parts but as a unified whole. The universe speaks in silence because its wisdom is not conveyed through words but through the quiet, subtle language of existence itself. In silence, we become attuned to the rhythms of nature, the rustling of leaves, the soft hum of the wind, the stillness of a starry sky. These are not mere sounds or sights, they are expressions of a vast, interconnected reality that speaks to us without demanding our attention. When we quiet our minds, we begin to notice the intricate patterns that govern life, the cycles of growth and decay, the harmony of ecosystems, the flow of time itself. These patterns reveal truths about our place in the cosmos, truths that cannot be articulated but only felt and understood through direct experience. Silence allows us to hear the subtle vibrations of existence, the spaces between sounds, the pauses that give meaning to the notes of life. It is in these pauses that the universe communicates its boundless nature, reminding us that we are part of something infinitely greater than ourselves. In silence, we perceive the unity that underlies all things, a unity that transcends language, logic, and human comprehension. The universe, in its silence, invites us to listen not with our ears, but with our whole being. It speaks through the unfolding of events, the synchronicities that guide us, the stillness that pervades moments of profound awareness. Each silent message carries with it a sense of wonder, a reminder that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be embraced. Silence is active, not passive, because it requires a deliberate choice to step away from noise and engage with the deeper aspects of existence. It is not about doing nothing, it is about being fully present and attentive to what lies beneath the surface. Silence demands awareness, the kind that listens intently, not for words or sounds, but for the truths that emerge in their absence. In silence, the mind does not idle, it observes, reflects, and processes. It seeks understanding not by grasping, but by allowing. This act of allowing requires discipline, for the world often urges us to fill every moment with action and sound. Silence is an active rebellion against this compulsion, a purposeful withdrawal to create space for insight and renewal. To be silent is to engage in the art of receptivity. It is to silence builds strength by cultivating resilience, focus, and inner fortitude in the absence of external noise and validation. In silence, we are stripped of the distractions and comforts that often shield us from facing our own vulnerabilities. It forces us to confront ourselves, to sit with our doubts, fears, and insecurities, and to emerge stronger for having done so. Through silence, we learn to rely on our inner resources rather than seeking constant reassurance from the outside world. It strengthens our ability to stand firm in our convictions and to navigate challenges with a clear and composed mind. This strength is not loud or boastful, it is quiet, steady, and enduring, a strength that comes from knowing oneself deeply. Silence also builds the discipline to hold back when words are unnecessary or actions are premature. It empowers us to act with intention and clarity, free from impulsive reactions or the need to prove ourselves. This self-control, honed in the stillness of silence, becomes a source of immense power, enabling us to face life's difficulties with grace and poise. In silence, we develop the strength to endure, to persist through hardship, to wait patiently for the right moment, and to maintain our balance even in the face of chaos. It is in these moments of quiet perseverance that we discover the depth of our own resilience and the boundless capacity of our spirit. In silence, desires transform, because it is in the stillness of our minds that we begin to understand the true nature of what we seek. The constant noise of life often amplifies our cravings, making them feel urgent and overwhelming. Yet, when silence envelops us, it provides the space to examine these desires without judgment or haste. What we thought we wanted begins to shift as we see beyond superficial impulses and into the deeper needs they mask. Silence reveals the root of our desires, stripping away the layers of societal expectations, external validation, and fleeting pleasures. It teaches us to distinguish between what is fleeting and what is essential. In this introspection, many of our wants lose their urgency, and the ones that remain become clearer, more aligned with our true selves. In the quiet, we also come to recognize that fulfillment does not always come from acquiring or achieving. Instead, silence shows us that much of what we desire is already within us, waiting to be acknowledged rather than pursued. It transforms our perspective, replacing restlessness with contentment and shifting our focus from external possessions to inner peace. The act of being silent allows space for desires to evolve, turning them into intentions rooted in purpose rather than longing. This transformation brings with it a sense of clarity and liberation, as we are no longer controlled by our desires but guided by a deeper understanding of what truly matters. The ego fades in silence because it thrives on noise, both external and internal, to assert its dominance. The constant chatter of the mind, the drive for recognition, and the need to defend or inflate oneself all feed the ego. Yet in silence, these distractions fall away, and the ego finds nothing to cling to. It loses its power when there is no audience, no validation, and no conflict to sustain it. In silence, we are no longer engaged in the performance of identity or the endless narrative of who we are and what we deserve. Without words to define or justify ourselves, the boundaries of the ego begin to dissolve. What remains is a sense of presence that is not tied to labels, achievements, or roles, a deeper self that exists beyond the confines of the ego's demands. Silence exposes the illusions of control and separation that the ego perpetuates. It reveals the interconnectedness of all things, showing us that the individual self is but a small part of a larger whole. In this realization, the ego's need to compete, compare, or dominate diminishes, replaced by a sense of unity and peace. Through silence, we gain the ability to observe the ego without being consumed by it. We see its patterns and impulses for what they are: habitual, and often unnecessary reactions that do not define our true nature. This awareness weakens the ego's grip, allowing us to act from a place of authenticity and connection rather than self-centeredness. Silence invites abundance by creating the space necessary for life to flow effortlessly into our experience. In the quiet, we cease striving and grasping, and instead we become open and receptive to all that life offers. The constant noise of desire, ambition, and worry often keeps us disconnected from the natural rhythms of the universe, preventing us from seeing the wealth of opportunities, blessings, and gifts that surround us. When we embrace silence, we step out of the frantic chase for more success, more validation, more possessions, and we open ourselves. By using fewer words, we create room for each word to carry more weight. Each sentence becomes an expression of something carefully considered, not hastily thrown out into the world. This creates a depth of communication, where the meaning behind our words is felt more intensely, and the listener is invited to reflect rather than simply react. Speaking less also forces us to listen more. When we speak less, we are given the opportunity to pay attention to the nuances of conversation, to hear the unsaid, and to absorb the energy of the moment. This attentiveness enhances our understanding, not just of others, but of ourselves. In silence, we access the space where deeper insights and wisdom reside. In many ways, fewer words invite more genuine connection. When we are selective in our speech, we engage more deeply with those around us, creating a space where authentic exchange can flourish. It's not about withholding communication, but about offering a kind of communication that is rich with meaning, a communication that respects the depth of human experience rather than skimming the surface. Silence connects us in ways that words often cannot, transcending the barriers of language, culture, and individual differences. In the absence of verbal communication, we are left with a shared space of presence where connection is formed not through explanation, but through direct experience. Silence strips away the masks we wear and allows us to meet each other as we truly are, without the need for interpretation or judgment. When we embrace silence, we create an unspoken bond that reaches beyond superficial exchanges. It is in this quiet space that empathy arises, as we can sense one another's emotions and intentions without needing to articulate them. In this way, silence facilitates a deeper understanding and a truer connection, as it invites us to communicate with our hearts rather than our words. Silence also fosters a sense of unity with the world around us. In the stillness, we come to realize that we are not separate from others, or from nature. We are part of the same vast, interconnected web of life. The stillness of nature, the rustling of leaves, the sound of distant water, the hum of life reminds us that there is a common rhythm that binds all things together. In silence, we tune into this rhythm, recognizing the profound interconnectedness of all beings. Through silence, we learn to listen in a way that goes beyond hearing. We listen with our whole being, allowing us to connect on a level that words alone cannot reach. It is through this deep listening that we come to understand one another and the world more fully, creating bonds that transcend language and intellect. Stillness is the root of creativity because it provides the fertile ground in which new ideas can grow. In the quietude of the mind, free from distractions and external noise, the seeds of inspiration have the space to take root. When we stop the constant rush of activity and allow ourselves to simply be, creativity emerges naturally, unforced and unhurried. The stillness of the mind allows thoughts to settle, creating a calm space where new ideas can form without interference from anxiety or pressure. In this space, the subconscious mind, free from the clutter of the everyday, begins to make connections between disparate ideas, leading to novel insights and solutions. Without the distractions of constant busyness, we can hear the subtle whisper of our inner creativity, which is often drowned out by the noise of the external world. Stillness also enables us to listen deeply to our own inner voice, the wellspring of our creative energy. When we stop talking, stop thinking about what we should do next, we begin to hear the quiet call of our true desires and inspirations. These quiet moments of reflection allow us to tap into a deeper well of creativity that is not bound by convention or expectation, but is instead authentic and original. In stillness, we are not chasing after ideas, but rather allowing them to find us. We are open to the flow of inspiration as it arises naturally, without resistance. This state of receptivity is what fosters true creativity, as it invites us to see the world through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. In the absence of noise, we can hear the profound silence that underlies all creation, and from that silence we are able to bring forth something new and unique. The art of surrender is the practice of letting go of control and allowing life to unfold as it will, without force or resistance. It is not passive resignation, but a conscious, mindful release of the need to dictate every outcome. Surrender is the recognition that not everything is within our control, and by accepting this, we align ourselves with the flow of life rather than struggling against it. To surrender is to accept the present moment as it